The alien carvings in Egypt and India. Coincidence or contact? An in-depth exploration into ancient symbolism, architecture, and extraterrestrial theories. Throughout history, the great civilizations of the ancient world have left behind more than just stone monuments and crumbling temples. They've left behind questions. Among the most perplexing are the carvings etched into temple walls, ancient scriptures, and cave facades in Egypt and India. These carvings depict beings with strange features, flying crafts, divine chariots, and mysterious technological artifacts. While mainstream scholars interpret them symbolically or mythologically, an alternative theory has emerged, one that suggests contact with beings not of this world. The idea of ancient aliens, or ancient astronauts, posits that extraterrestrials visited Earth thousands of years ago, influencing early human societies. Though controversial, this theory has gained traction through decades of books, documentaries, and online discourse. In this essay, we explore the carvings and evidence from Egypt and India, two civilizations separated by geography, but linked by shared mysteries. Is it coincidence that both depicted flying beings, energy weapons, and celestial visitors? Or is there more than mythology at play? Located in Upper Egypt, the Temple of Hathor in Dendera is a sprawling complex rich in symbolism and astrological references. Among its most debated features is the so-called Dendera Light, a series of carvings that appear to show a large bulb-like object attached to a cord and resting on a pedestal. To mainstream Egyptologists, these images represent a lotus flower from which a serpent emerges, a symbol of fertility, energy, or rebirth. But to ancient astronaut theorists, the carving appears to depict a form of ancient technology, an electric light bulb. They point to the resemblance to early 20th century arc lamps in the presence of what looks like a wire or power source. If true, this would radically alter our understanding of ancient Egyptian capabilities. Could it be that the Dendera light is not metaphorical but literal? Further fueling the mystery is another site. Abydos. This ancient city sacred to Osiris contains the Seti I Temple, where a bizarre hieroglyph has been discovered. It seems to show a modern helicopter, along with what looks like a submarine and a flying saucer. Dismissed by most Egyptologists as a palimpsest, a result of overlapping inscriptions due to erosion or carving over previous texts, this helicopter. Hieroglyph has become an icon for proponents of ancient alien contact. Even if it's a coincidence, it's uncanny. The helicopter shape includes a main rotor, tail rotor, and even a cockpit-like structure. Can this really be written off as erosion? Egyptian gods such as Osiris, Thoth, and Ra are often shown with elongated skulls or helmets. Pharaoh Akhenaten and his family, depicted with exaggerated craniums, have puzzled scholars for decades. While some attribute this to an artistic style or medical condition like craniosynostosis, others suggest that these depictions reflect beings of another kind. Is it possible that these figures with elongated heads represent a race of beings the Egyptians encountered or worshipped as gods? Across India's sacred texts, stories of flying chariots known as Vimanas appear frequently. The Rigveda, Mahabharata, and Ramayana, texts dating back over 2 millennia, describe gods flying through the skies in metallic ships, powered by unknown energies. The Sanarangana Sutradaha, a 10th century Sanskrit treatise on architecture and machines, even outlines how Vimanas could be built. It speaks of propulsion methods involving mercury and fire, resembling rudimentary descriptions of jet or rocket engines. Skeptics view these as poetic metaphors, symbolic of spiritual journeys. But proponents of ancient astronaut theory argue that these are eyewitness accounts, passed down through oral tradition and eventually recorded in scripture. One of the most dramatic examples of possible ancient extraterrestrial warfare comes from the Mahabharata, which recounts a battle involving devastating celestial weapons. Here's one passage that often gets quoted. A single projectile charged with all the power of the universe, an incandescent column of smoke and flame as bright as 10,000 suns. It was an unknown weapon, an iron thunderbolt a gigantic messenger of death. This description, resembling a nuclear explosion, includes effects like birds falling from the sky, food becoming inedible, and hair and nails falling out. Supporters argue that this suggests radioactive fallout and immense heat, phenomena unknown in the ancient world unless experienced firsthand. Could the Mahabharata be describing a cosmic battle involving non-human technologies? The Ellora caves in Maharashtra, India, particularly the Konark Sun Temple, seem almost impossibly advanced for their time. Carved directly out of a single rock face, it's one of the largest monolithic structures in the world. Theories abound as to how ancient builders accomplished such a feat without modern tools. Inside the Ellora and Ajanta caves, carvings depict celestial beings with unusual helmets and flying crafts emitting beams of light or fire. While often interpreted within a religious context as representations of gods, demons, or cosmic energy, some researchers suggest they echo real sightings or contact events. Egypt and India both tell stories of beings from the sky. In Egypt, gods like Ra and Horus fly across the heavens in solar boats. In India, gods like Indra and Vishnu descend in Vimanas. In both cultures, these beings possess weapons of great power, command knowledge of the cosmos, and are said to have come from above. The similarities don't end there. Both civilizations describe cycles of destruction and rebirth initiated by these beings. Both built massive pyramidal structures aligned with celestial bodies. And both produced art and literature that seem to merge the divine with the technological. Are we witnessing the independent birth of myth, or the shared memory of real encounters? In Egyptian art, the lotus represents creation and divine emergence, as does the lotus in Hinduism and Buddhism. Yet in both, it's often drawn emerging from a power-like source, accompanied by beams or serpents that some interpret as energy. Compare the Dendera light in Egypt to temple carvings in India where deities hold lotus-like objects emitting light or energy. Are we seeing the same concept filtered through different cultural lenses? The Abydos hieroglyphs showing modern-looking vehicles, including a helicopter, have become a cornerstone of the ancient astronaut argument. However, Egyptologists point out that these are the result of a palimpsest where one set of hieroglyphs was carved over another. The original inscription, created during the reign of Seti I, was later modified under his son Ramesses II. Over time, the plaster faded, exposing the older carvings and creating overlapping symbols that appear to resemble modern machinery. Scholars have digitally reconstructed the layers, revealing their original religious meanings. While this explanation satisfies academia, the sheer accuracy of the helicopter shape still leaves some unconvinced. Is this a case of coincidental erosion, or are we missing something deeper? The Dendera light, often cited as a depiction of a glowing bulb powered by a generator, is, in traditional interpretation, a lotus flower with a serpent emerging, representing fertility, rebirth, and divine energy in ancient Egyptian mythology. The cable is believed to be a jed pillar, a symbol of stability, and the socket is a lotus base common in Egyptian iconography. Yet, its resemblance to a modern light bulb, complete with filament, cable, and enclosure, continues to raise eyebrows. Critics argue that humans often apply modern interpretations to ancient symbols, a phenomenon called anachronistic projection. Still, even with symbolic explanations, one cannot deny how closely this lotus lamp mirrors the structure of a functioning electrical device. Many Sanskrit texts mention Vimanas, flying vehicles used by gods, kings, and demons. The Vaimanika Shastra, discovered in the early 20th century and attributed to the sage Bharadvaja, is often cited by alien theorists. It describes types of Vimanas, their propulsion systems, and materials used. However, scholars have dated the text to no earlier than the 20th century, and most consider it a modern fabrication. Aeronautical engineers who studied its content found the descriptions aerodynamically impossible, filled with vague or contradictory physics. Despite this, references to Vimanas exist in much older texts, like the Mahabharata and Ramayana, written centuries or even millennia earlier. These ancient mentions, while poetic and religious in tone, contain shockingly specific descriptions of flying machines, sky travel, and battles fought in the air. It not literal, and why such consistency in detail? Supporters of the ancient contact theory point to a particular section of the Mahabharata, where a single weapon wipes out entire armies, incinerates elephants, and causes widespread ecological devastation. It was a weapon so powerful that it could destroy the earth in an instant. An iron thunderbolt, gigantic messenger of death. The corpses were so burned as to be unrecognizable. Hair and nails fell out. Some interpret this as evidence of a prehistoric nuclear war or extraterrestrial technology. Skeptics argue it's poetic hyperbole, mythic exaggeration to emphasize the power of divine weapons like the Brahmastra. Yet, the uncanny parallels with modern warfare technology remain a puzzle. Could these stories be vague recollections of real, long-forgotten events? Both Egypt and India built structures with stunning celestial precision. The pyramids of Giza are aligned almost perfectly with the cardinal points and mimic the belt stars of Orion. In India, temple complexes like Konark and Angkor Wat show alignments with solstices, equinoxes, and stellar events. How did these ancient cultures develop such sophisticated astronomical knowledge? One answer is that they observed the sky for generations. Another, more speculative, answer is that they were taught by beings with access to advanced knowledge. In India, the Surya Siddhanta, an ancient astronomical text, predates modern trigonometry and accurately calculates the Earth's diameter and the length of a year. In Egypt, the construction of temples like Abu Simbel, where sunlight strikes inner sanctuaries only on specific days of the year, shows a mastery of solar alignment. Are these feats of early genius or inherited knowledge? One of the recurring themes in ancient carvings is the depiction of humanoid figures with large heads, elongated skulls, or helmet-like structures. In Egypt, gods like Thoth, Osiris, and even Akhenaten appear with cranial distortions. In Indian art, gods like Shiva, Vishnu, and others wear ornate headdresses with tubes, discs, or flame-like features. Alien theorists argue these represent helmeted visitors, possibly extraterrestrials wearing space gear. Others suggest the helmets symbolize divinity, intelligence, or spiritual power. But the similarities are noteworthy. Both cultures show gods descending from the sky. Both associate these beings with light, fire, or cosmic energy. Both describe non-human behavior, such as longevity, shape-shifting, and interdimensional travel. Could these similarities be the result of a shared global memory, or a common event that imprinted itself onto early civilizations? India's Ellora caves and Egypt's Osirian temple feature stonework that modern tools would struggle to replicate. The Kailasa temple in Ellora, carved from a single basalt mountain using chisels and hammers, defies logic with its scale and symmetry. Likewise, the Osirian's granite blocks weigh over 100 tons, fitted together with precision. Some propose that ancient civilizations used unknown stone softening techniques, possibly involving sound frequencies or chemicals, to mold massive stones, like clay. Others argue it's evidence of lost technology, whether terrestrial or alien. Regardless of the method, the results speak for themselves. Thousands of years later, modern engineers still marvel at these structures. India and Egypt aren't the only cultures with legends of gods from the stars. Across the world, from the Mayans to the Sumerians, Aboriginal Australians to Native American Hopis, stories tell of sky people, gods in flying craft, and teachers who brought knowledge to humankind. The Sumerian Anunnaki descended from the heavens in fiery ships. The Dogon people of Mali described the Sirius star system accurately long before telescopes existed. In Bolivia, Tiwanaku's Puma Punku features megaliths cut with machine-like precision. Are these simply myths, or do they reflect contact with an advanced, possibly non-human intelligence? Some believe ancient civilizations were once connected by a forgotten global culture, possibly aided by advanced technology or extraterrestrial assistance. Pyramids, megaliths, and cosmic symbolism appear everywhere, even on remote islands like Easter Island. Could it be that thousands of years ago, humanity had a far more sophisticated understanding of the universe, and that knowledge was lost, scattered, or suppressed? Egypt and India may hold the clearest pieces of this puzzle. The carvings in Egypt and India continue to provoke awe and debate. To mainstream scholars, they are the beautiful expression of early human imagination. deeply symbolic, mythological, and spiritual. To others, they are warnings or records left behind, fragments of contact with beings from beyond Earth or time. What is undeniable is the consistency across continents and centuries in depictions of flying beings and machines, powerful energy-based weapons, beings descending from or ascending to the sky, advanced astronomical alignment, technological metaphors, or symbols. We must ask ourselves, are these merely metaphors, coincidences, or were our ancestors trying to preserve a record of real, transformative experiences? As we continue to decipher these carvings, texts, and structures with ever-advancing technology, perhaps we are not discovering the past, but rediscovering what humanity already knew and forgot. In every temple, every temple, every temple, every cave, and every story carved in stone, ancient civilizations left behind messages, not just a myth. In every temple, every cave, and every story carved in stone, ancient civilizations left behind messages, not just of gods and myths, but perhaps of visitors from the stars, whether myth or memory. The question remains, were we alone, or did someone help build the dawn of civilization?